But, monsieur, I would add one word more. Don't alarm her amour propre. Beware of inflicting a wound there. I reluctantly admit that in that particular she is blamably, some would say ridiculously, susceptible. I fear I have touched this sore point inadvertently, and she cannot get over it. During the greater part of this harangue, my hand was on the lock of the outer door. I now turned it. "Au revoir, mademoiselle," said I, and I escaped. I saw the directress's stock of words was yet far from exhausted. She looked after me, she would fain have detained me longer. Her manner towards me had been altered ever since I had begun to treat her with harshness and indifference. She almost cringed to me on every occasion. She consulted my countenance incessantly, and beset me with innumerable little officious attentions. Servility creates despotism. This slavish homage, instead of softening my heart, only pampered whatever was stern and exacting in its mood. The very circumstance of her hovering round me like a fascinated bird seemed to transform me into a rigid pillar of stone. Her flatteries irritated my scorn, her blandishments confirmed my reserve. At times I wondered what she meant by giving herself such trouble to win me, when the more profitable Pelet was already in her nets, and when, too, she was aware that I possessed her secret, for I had not scrupled to tell her as much. But the fact is, that as it was her nature to doubt the reality and undervalue the worth of modesty, affection, disinterestedness, to regard these qualities as foibles of character, so it was equally her tendency to consider pride, hardness, selfishness, as proofs of strength. She would trample on the neck of humility, she would kneel at the feet of disdain. She would meet tenderness with secret contempt, indifference she would woo with ceaseless assiduities. Benevolence, devotedness, enthusiasm were her antipathies. For dissimulation and self-interest she had a preference. They were real wisdom in her eyes, moral and physical degradation, mental and bodily inferiority she regarded with indulgence. They were foils capable of being turned to good account as set-offs for her own endowments. To violence, injustice, tyranny she succumbed. They were her natural masters. She had no propensity to hate, no impulse to resist them. The indignation their behests awake in some hearts was unknown in hers. From all this it resulted that the false and selfish called her wise, the vulgar and debased termed her charitable, the insolent and unjust dubbed her amiable. The conscientious and benevolent generally at first accepted as valid her claim to be considered one of themselves, but ere long the plating of pretension wore off, the real material appeared below, and they laid her aside as a deception. End of chapter 15. Recording by Martin Geeson in Hazelmere, Surrey.